This video covers the rules for naming molecular or sometimes called covalent molecules. Remember that molecular or covalent molecules are those that occur between non-metals only. This includes the metalloids for the most part, but metals need not apply, and remember the rules. We use prefixes to show the number of each type of atom in a molecular compound. Mono is never used for the first element, and its use is discouraged for the second element. You will find, though, that many of us still slip up and say carbon monoxide for the molecule CO. If you have one of each type of atom, as I said above, you don't use mono. We just don't use any prefix. For 2, di, 3, tri, 4, tetra, 5, penta, 6, hexa, 7, hepta, 8, octa, 9, nona, and for 10, deca. Now, if you've taken geometry, you know that these prefixes are used to denote the number of sides in polygons. So you may have seen these before. The rules for naming compounds are really pretty straightforward. When you're going from a formula to a name, you're going to list the first element with its name completely spelled out. And of course, if there are more than one of them, you're going to use a prefix. The second element is named by using the root of the element name followed by IDE. And once again, if there is more than one of these, you're going to use a prefix. So let's see some examples. Here we have a compound that has 2 nitrogens and 5 oxygens. Its name is dinitrogen pentoxide. Now notice that the prefix for 5 is actually penta, but for elements that start with an O or another vowel, and I'm trying to think of one, I guess maybe arsenide, but we drop the A. So instead of saying dinitrogen pentaoxide, we just say dinitrogen pentoxide. It's another one. Now, this is a kind of a tricky one. Notice that it's H2S, and if there was aqueous written after it, denoting that it was dissolved in water, it would be hydrosulfuric acid. However, when this is a gas, and when it is just as listed as a gas or any other state besides aqueous, it's actually a molecular compound. So we name it dihydrogen sulfide. Here's another one. A carbon with 4 chlorine atoms is called carbon tetrachloride. If you're going from a name to a formula, you write the symbol for the first element and then the symbol for the second. Then put in subscripts if there is more than one of each of these. Here's some examples. Xenon hexafluoride has a formula of ZeF6. Sulfur trioxide has a formula of SO3. Now notice that this is very similar to the sulfite ion. However, the sulfite ion, if it were listed by itself, would have a charge associated with it. It would be SO3 with the 2- showing for its charge. Or else you might see it in an ionic compound. For example, in the compound potassium sulfite, the formula would be K2SO3. And that way you know it's the sulfite ion. But when it's listed as it is here, just sulfur with 3 oxygens, it is the molecular compound known as sulfur trioxide. Here's another one, tetraphosphorus decaoxide, or decoxide. Phosphorus and oxygen are the 2 elements, and there are 4 phosphoruses and 10 oxygens. Warning, this is important to note because many students are tempted to use the rules for naming molecular compounds because they're so easy. But you have to remember that molecular compounds do not have a metal or ammonium listed as the first element or component of the formula. Also, when the first element is listed as a hydrogen, make sure that there is not aqueous written after the formula, or else it's an acid. Molecular compounds only contain nonmetals or metalloids, so only use these rules when you're sure that they are appropriate to be used.